Good afternoon, and welcome to the special seminar of Sustainability Seminar Series for summer 2021 with our distinguished guest speaker, Lubna Al Omair. My name is Iman Al-Haji, serving as the President of Students for Sustainability at KAUST. This event comes as a fruitful outcome from the collaboration between Students for Sustainability and Maggie's Women's Football Club at KAUST with Kafo. Kafo is a women's football team in Jeddah participating in a national tournament organized by the Saudi Sports for All Federation to compete in the Global Goals World Cup. Warm welcome to the organizers of the Global World Cup who are attending today's webinar with our audience. In this cup, each team champions one of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and is ranked by the action taken in their goal and off the field. These teams are scored in 4 distinct categories: action, crowd, style, and football. They amplify their calls to action and create impact locally and globally. Team Kafo plays for gender equality, Goal 5. They aspire to contribute in promoting women's success and spread of awareness among girls and all members of society about the potential and competence of women. Now I'll hand it to our moderator for today, Shahad Albar. Shahad is a medical student going to her 3rd year. She is also a football player at Miras women's football team and a sports enthusiast in general. To you, Shahad.
Thank you, Iman, for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone. I'm Shahad Albar. So our session today is titled Redefining Success After Losing, where we will discuss our guest's unique, inspiring story. So I'll first start by giving you an outline of the seminar. We'll start with a brief introduction about Mrs. Lubna, and then we will have around 40 minutes of conversation with our guest. Finally, we will have a Q&A session where the audience will be able to ask questions to our guests. So please, if you have any, just drop them in the Q&A box and we will cover them at the end of the session. So we'll start with the introduction. Before we start the discussion, Mrs. Lubna, I would like to tell you a little more about her background. So Lubna Muhammad Al Omair is Saudi Arabia's first female Olympic fencer. She participated in the Rio 2016 Olympics representing Saudi Arabia. Mrs. Al Omair co-founded the Dhahran Fencing Club in 2014, the first female fencing club in Saudi Arabia. She holds a Master in Business Information Technology from DePaul University, Chicago, and is a certified project management professional. She worked for Saudi Aramco Quality of Life Vision 2030 program, and she is currently working as the Executive Director of Special Projects Department of the Saudi Arabian Olympic Committee. Mrs. Lubna, welcome. We are very grateful to have you with us today.
Thank you, Shahad, and thank you, Iman, for the great introduction. I'm glad to be with you all today.
Would you share the...
Sure.
All right.
So again, I'm really glad to be with you all today, and I want to share with you lessons about my life. 4 main lessons, I would say. So the first lesson is to be determined instead of stubborn, and how to balance my life between short-term satisfaction and long-term satisfaction, what kind of decisions I had to make in order for me to have balance or to work toward more balanced life. And to, after 2016, how did I redefine success? What are my philosophies about success today versus the ones I used to have in the past? And last but not least, to talk more about mental well-being and how to take care of yourself and be kind to yourself. So as you can see, I was born in 1987, and I I was born in Saudi, and I lived throughout most of my life in Saudi. I graduated from King Faisal University. And I want to tell you here that during my time in King Faisal University, I wasn't sure this was the major that I wanted to get into. And I graduated with high grades in high school, which made me eligible for a scholarship the second year after joining the university. But my parents decided that it's not the right time for me to travel abroad by myself, which wasn't easy on me, and I didn't feel that this is the path I'm meant to have in life, and this is not the major I want to study. So my grades started dropping, and I started getting D's in my second year. And I looked at my life and what would it be? I mean, what would my future look like if I continue getting these grades? I'm stuck with the major that I didn't want to be in. And this me being stubborn. I looked at the opportunities that the future will, that might be provided for me if I manage to get my grades up. So I learned about the scholarships for master's degrees, and I went to make a deal with my parents. And I told them I can work really hard to get my grades up and get a scholarship. Will you accept this deal? And they told me, well, let's see if you can do it. They doubted me that I will be able, especially after seeing my grades second year or second and third year. So I was in my final year and I was left with 10 courses. And I made my calculations. I went to Google and I started calculating how many A's I need to get in order for me to get to the scholarship, to get the scholarship. And I realized that I need to get almost 8 A's or 7 A's. It sounded like it was impossible, but I was determined. So I switched from being stubborn, that I'm not going to study in the school, I'm not going to study this major, into determined that sometimes you need to make decisions that in your life toward future satisfactions. And I managed. So the scholarship grade GPA I needed to get was 3.75. And I managed to get 3.78, even better.
Wow.
So I got to the scholarship. I got the scholarship, and I went. So I had what was in my mind was two things: to obtain a degree, of course, to make my parents proud, and at the same time, I had this what we call, as cliche as it might sound, the bucket list of things that I've always wanted to try out, but never had an opportunity to do so. Like any other female growing up in the late 80s and the 90s, we all were limited with the opportunities of physical activities. And I used to watch in the TV, we're watching the Olympics nowadays, and I wondered, what if one day I can try it out? What if one day I can try out this amazing sport that's called fencing, and you hold the sword and you start fight? And I went to the States. I settled in Rhode Island. And right after settling in my apartment, I started Googling fencing clubs. And I found one nearby. And I asked another Saudi female, which was me living in the same building. I told her, would you want to try fencing? And she told me, what is that? Just said, come with me. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy. And I tried it out. And she tried it out. And I was hooked. And she told me, this is it for me. I really enjoyed it, but this is it for me. I continued fencing. And my parents used to come visit me from time to time. And they were worried. They were worried that this new hobby might affect my study or impact my study negatively. So they started telling me that you shouldn't go for training, you shouldn't go for practice. But I was determined. And I would say it's not easy to disagree with your parents. And there is a thin line between being disrespectful while disagreeing and being determined while disagreeing. So I used to tell them, I'll have dinner with you, but then I'll go for my practice. And I used to tell them during the snowstorms, trust me, I'll make sure that I come back safe, but I need to go to my training. So this was 2010. I moved from Rhode Island to Chicago and I started my master's degree. So I was studying in Rhode Island English before starting my master's degree. And when I moved to Chicago, unfortunately, the fencing clubs there weren't as good as the ones I used to go to in Rhode Island, but I wanted to continue, so I continued on and off. And at the same time, I tried many other sports and many other activities, trying to make the most of my life there. And it was the moments where I'm about to graduate and I signed an offer with Saudi Aramco before graduating. And it was the moment of coming back to Saudi. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because I wanted to continue fencing, continue other sports, and I didn't know if I can continue doing these sports back home. And the day of my travel, the day before my travel, I packed my luggage and I went on a farewell dinner with my friends. And I already booked a trapeze class. I don't know if you're familiar with trapezing, but I haven't tried it out. And I actually booked that class 3 months before my travel back to Saudi. And I've always thought that it's not the right time. I need to work on strengthening my core. It's not the right time. Trapezing looks scary. I don't think I can do it now. And now I packed my luggage and I'm ready to leave, but I still have this curiosity of what it would feel like to try out trapezing. I don't know whether I'm going to be successful at it or not, but what would I lose? I would lose not trying it out and thinking about this what if. So I went, I asked my friend to join, and this time no one wanted to join. And they thought that I'm crazy. I should go to the spa and relax and enjoy my time. And I went there, and it was one of the best things that I've done in my life, after fencing, of course. And then I came back and I started working in Saudi Aramco. And I was actually blessed with a great supervisor who allowed me to take many initiatives and work on many great projects as a fresh graduate from a master's degree. He believed in me. And I was happy with how my career is progressing. Yet I had this void inside me. I felt my life wasn't balanced enough. So I started thinking, what if there were opportunities? And I sent a message to Saudi Fencing Federation back then through Facebook. And I told them, I am interested in joining your federation. Please show me the way. And they told me, you should know better. You're a female, you're a Saudi female. You know that unfortunately we won't be able to accept you. And it wasn't easy for me to accept this. But at the same time, if there is something you cannot change, you should accept it and work toward creating options. So I was sitting on my desk in Saudi Aramco, and I received this email from Community Services Department about self-directed group in combat sports. And I turned to my colleague who was taking an assignment with us from that department. And I told him, what about fencing? Are you aware of any fencing club? And he told me, I haven't heard of one. And I told him, I want to create one. So I picked up the phone, I started drafting an email, and I called them, please tell me, how can I start a fencing club? It wasn't easy, but I was supported with many people there. Yeah, it's very ironic, but the person who was responding to me in Facebook was the same person who supported me into creating the fencing club. He happened to be an Aramco employee as well. During that time, waiting for the Haan Fencing Club to be established, I worked to find an opportunity for myself. I contacted Bahrain Fencing Federation and I told them, may I join your training? And they told me, of course, they were welcoming me to join. I was left with the very difficult part, which is convincing my parents to cross the causeway twice a week to Bahrain. Back then, we weren't driving. Back then, I needed to call my driver and make sure that he is okay with taking me after work to training and coming back late in the evening. I missed an important milestone. So in 2014, I went back to visit the States, and I went back to Rhode Island Fencing Club. And I was with my mom back then, and I told her I'm purchasing fencing gears. And she told me, but there is no place for you to train. So Bahrain Fencing Club wasn't there. Bahrain wasn't in the picture yet. And I told her, you know what? I'll purchase the gears and I'll hang them. One day I'll wear them. One day I'll use them. And I was in Rhode Island and we traveled to New York. And the Fencing Federation, one member of the Fencing Federation contacted me and told me, would you be interested in starting a fencing female national team? And I said, of course. Are you familiar with any female that is interested in fencing? I said, no. I know no one that is currently interested in fencing, but don't worry about it. I got it. And I started broadcasting messages about people who want to get into a sport that is great. And I started promoting for the sport. And the result of that, I would say, broadcast message is being blessed with my teammates. I have Lama Al Fawzan, who is still, now she's a board member with the Saudi Fencing Federation. And Rawan Al-Bteri. So we used to go to Bahrain twice a week to train. What I want to say here is that sometimes you don't have the opportunities yet, but you can create your opportunities. And it's, again, to the message of being determined versus stubborn. I used to try to convince my parents every day to accept me going to Bahrain. And then there was the moment, from 2014, 2016, many things happened. But 2016 was the big year for me, where it was a big year because it started with me getting married and then moving to Riyadh. As I said, I lived all my life in the Eastern region. And then I had to move to a new city, so it was overwhelming. And then I am going to represent my country in the Olympics. It was such a great feeling, and waving that flag in the Olympic as opening ceremony. It's a moment I would never forget, and it's a moment of pride that it's
Really sure.
it's just positively overwhelming to recall.
Yeah.
Just blinking and looking at my life and reflecting on my life from where I started and where I ended up was very was the start of me of redefining my success. And it didn't came easily. So maybe some of you knew that I left the battle, I left the match, and I left the bout 15-0. And I called my father after leaving, and I told him I lost, and I was crying. And a reporter later on, he saw me and he tried to talk to me back then, and he wanted to write an article about me. He said, a Saudi butterfly got crushed in the Olympics. And it took me time. It took me, I wouldn't say, it wasn't a switch on, switch off. It wasn't easy for me to realize that it wasn't failure. It wasn't me failing. It's success. It's a new definition of success. It's when you look at how did you start, and where did you land? And it wasn't easy. Again, if there is a lesson that I want to teach my kids, that it's not about winning the race. It's not about getting A's. It's about comparing yourself and trying hard from where you started to where you became. And it's not easy. But I keep on telling myself that I remind myself of someone that was diagnosed, was paralyzed, and was told that you're not going to be able to walk. And through determination, through going to physio therapy every day and pushing himself or herself more every day, that it's the first step they take is success. When you compare them to someone who won the medal, it's not fair. When you compare them with the limited possibility they were told, and they were told about the limitation they have, or they were in difficult circumstances and they worked hard to overcome them or even try to overcome them, I define this as success. And I would urge you to define all your small achievements, even if they were small achievements that you tried hard enough, you tried your best to progress and achieve, and you achieved them. Be nice, be kind to yourself, and celebrate them. Celebrate your achievements. So this is. Go ahead, Jazz.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with you, absolutely. Just I have a question, like I'm very much, of course, enjoying you telling your story, but I'm sure our audience wants to know more, like questions asked. So now that we talked about the Olympics, last week many people around the world watched the opening ceremony of Tokyo Summer Olympics this year. I mean, I personally did watch that. And we were all very proud of the Saudi delegation that represented our country over there. So did that bring any memories for you from 2016 and your participation in the Olympics? And you were like a part of the delegation over there.
It definitely did. And you see this big smile on my face. Honestly, it's brought back good memories. And looking back to where we started in 2012 with 2 females, and 2016 with 4 females, and 2021 with a female holding, being a flag bearer. If you look at it, like we're progressing, we're moving forward as females in Saudi. And I'm looking forward for the future. In 2017, I was blessed with Yusuf as a first-time mother. And in 2019, I was blessed with Yasmin. So realizing that we're progressing and being part now of the Olympic movement as an executive director of special projects, and that we just won hosting the Asian Games in 2034, and I can see the possibilities are endless, the opportunities are endless. And I'm optimistic, and I'm happy that Yasmin will have more opportunities than I did in the past, and all the upcoming generation, hopefully.
Amazing, amazing. You're absolutely right. I mean, clearly, Saudi Arabia, our country, is in the right pathway towards being having more achievement in the sports sector. So since we've mentioned the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, like how do you feel, or what do you think about more Saudi female athletes making their debut at the current Olympics as representation of Saudi Arabia, of course, and being among the best athletes in the world, of course?
It's great. Today, I would say males and females, we're celebrating all. And of course, it's different for females, especially who grew up in the 90s and the 2000s. It's refreshing. And I would say being able to interact with international athletes, the best athletes of the world, it's a great opportunity for us to learn and to aspire for more, and to hopefully work toward bringing more pride to our country.
Sure, of course. So touching upon the core topic of our session, which is redefining the success, I mean, we have seen you before in so many occasions describing your loss in the first battle or round in the Rio Olympics 2016. So I have a question, like, how did you navigate your internal competitive feeling of loss as an athlete, of course, while being aware of the overall big picture that you were participating and representing your country, which is like a huge success which you were the first female Olympic fencer that represented Saudi Arabia. So how did you manage to find the silver lining in that loss and turn it into a success after that?
Honestly, it wasn't easy. As I said earlier, it wasn't a button that I pressed and I felt good about losing. It took me time into coming to this realization. It's like an epiphany that I suddenly I realized that winning can come, or success can come, in different forms. And when I realized that, I felt that I have a responsibility to deliver this message. That doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard. You should always aim high. You should work hard, but there are sometimes there are circumstances that's beyond your control. You need to understand when there are circumstances beyond your control that you need to accept and to be content with what you achieved, given all the circumstances you had. But I'm glad. Yeah, it's one of. I think if I didn't lose, I would have not gained what I've gained now from this realization, from this understanding of how, because you can apply it anywhere. You can apply it with me parenting my kids. One of the things that the greatest compliments I've received from my friends and my family, that I'm a thoughtful parent. I'm trying to, of course, having this busy life, I'm not able to spend enough time with them, but I try to make the most of my time with them. So I try to have a quality time, and I try as much as I can to teach a lesson every day. And I would have not been able to do so if I didn't lose. So I'm thankful for losing.
Yeah. So, wow, it was really great, like, to hear all about your journey as an athlete with its highs and lows, of course. And it's really inspiring how to see how you managed to find the silver lining in the positive side in this experience, and turn that loss, as you said, into a whole new successful career in life, focusing on, as you said, parenting or many different aspects of your life by taking right decisions at right times. And it's worth mentioning that recently you have embarked on another journey filled with success at other aspects of your life, including professionally and personally. So we know you are a mother of two beautiful children, and you said, like, you have tried to find the balance between your personal life and your work life. So how did you exactly try to implement that?
I would say there isn't such thing as complete balance. And it wouldn't be fair for me to come out and say, I got it. It's very easy. Honestly, it's not. And every day you learn how to make the right decision toward more balanced life. So I try as much as I can to prioritize and reprioritize. So family is always first. But when my family are stable and healthy, I focus more at work, and I give work more time. If I'm, of course, with fair, I would say fair time. If my family are in need, of course, I'll prioritize my family. So you always work through these decisions of prioritizing and reprioritizing. Work might come first in some occasions, and family might come first in other occasions. Um, um, but um, but you get better at it when you give yourself time to learn. I was overwhelmed after delivering my kids. Giving birth to them wasn't easy, and I didn't know back then much about baby blues or possibility of postpartum depression. So when I felt, I would say, different, um, I couldn't process it easily. And it wasn't easy for me to overcome this period. And I would say this is a main message that I want to share with mothers. That being a mother and going through postpartum depression and getting yourself out of it with the support of your family and friends and maybe medication. My case didn't, I wasn't in need for medication, but I know of other mothers who needed it. And there is no shame of that. I know for a long period of time that it was a stigma and it was a taboo to talk about it. It wasn't easy for me to talk about it when I had it with Yusuf. I was more open to talk about it after Yasmin, and I'm glad that we're living uh, we're living today where we see more people talking openly about their mental well-being and taking care of themselves mentally. And as we can see, go ahead, Shahad.
Sorry, just go ahead.
As we can see in the Olympics, we have many cases. Simon from US, she came out and she decided that she wanted to withdraw from Olympic events. She wanted to take care of herself mentally. And I'm glad that we are talking more openly about it, that you can be successful, but you still can suffer from mental problems or illness. And no one is immune. And this humbles you. And it humbled me, honestly. I'm more sympathetic today because of what happened. So trying to see the positive out of a very negative, maybe phase in my life. I was overwhelmed with joy, but overwhelmed with depression. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful for my spirituality. Uh, um, having religion as a big part of my life helped me to get out of those phases. Having a great support system having a great family, a life partner helped me through this tough period. Having great friends. What I wanted to say here that it's okay to suffer from such thing, but don't suffer in silence. Always try to seek help, and you're not alone. And it's not because you're not smart enough or you're not successful enough. Michael Phelps is very successful athlete, but he made the documentary of the weight of gold and the mental issues that he suffered from, depression. So what I would urge you to do is to seek help, to talk openly about it, and probably there is someone else in need that through your stories will be encouraged to seek help and be treated and be successful, more successful, and more happy about their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What a great message. Like, I agree with you. Like, we urge all people to speak up more about their mental well-being. So I think we've done the 2016 year as justice. So now moving forward, as we know, you are no longer competing as a professional athlete, but you are actively working in the sports sector as an enabler, let's say, to pave the way for aspiring Saudi female and male athletes, as you are the executive in the Saudi Arabian Olympic Committee. So what made you pick this career path specifically? Like, we know it's not your major, I guess, in the bachelor's degree of yours. So how did you turn from being an athlete to that exactly?
So I'll answer the question in two parts. The first part is thinking beyond myself, and the second part, whether I have the capabilities to do it or not. The first part is I knew that I have limitation of winning a medal, and it's something that I've wanted, and it's not easy for me. This is me personally. It's not easy for me to compete and not win. I wouldn't say not win, but having limited opportunities of winning. And I wanted to capitalize on my education, and I wanted to focus on career, and I wanted to focus on creating a family. At the same time, I didn't want to give up winning, but I realized that I can win through supporting others' success. So I can win indirectly. Instead of one medal, I can win 100 medals through supporting other athletes, enabling them, giving them the opportunity to wave the flag, to represent their country. So I felt it's a continuation to 2016. So from 2016 and 2018, I was thinking, how can I support athletes? Being in such talks as this great seminar today is important, but sometimes you just need to be in the backstage and support from your experience. And I decided to join Quality of Life, and I became a senior product manager overseeing the sports initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked there until 2020, when I finally and successfully supported the funding of an initiative dear to my heart, which is developing elite athletes. So alhamdulillah, thanks to God, I successfully, with the support of my team, we managed to fund this initiative. And I went to Saudi Arabian Olympic Committee to start the execution. So this is the why. And the second part, which is the capability, whether I'm able and how can I do it? I reflected on my experience with Saudi Aramco. When I started in the engineering services, working in the procurement function. I graduated with business information technology, a master of business information technology. And I came back to work in engineering services. And I thought that it's not going to be easy. But as I said in the beginning, I was blessed with a great supervisor, and he was happy and encouraging to teach me that everything is learnable. So I knew that I have the capabilities to learn, and I'm always eager to learn anything that's will help me toward my objective. So in 2019, I worked as a senior project manager, and I learned about project management. And in 2019, I got my PMP, project management professional, and I went to the executive program in Columbia University Business School. And in 2020, I became the executive director of special projects. And I'm trying to apply what I've learned. And that's it.
Amazing. Yeah, so we have mentioned the redefining of success. I'm sure like it's so obvious, the answer, but I'm gonna let you also stress on it. And I believe you have a message of the multiplier effect and how to be in the backstage. So what does success mean to you right now? And like, if you can elaborate more the definition of it, how has it changed for Lubna before and after the Olympics or throughout your life events, and how now you can succeed through the multiplier effect that you wanna elaborate more for it.
So as I mentioned earlier, success can come in different forms, and honestly, it took me time to success to me today, or the philosophies of success to me, the main ones is compare yourself with yourself in the past. And this is how you should measure yourself. And be kind to yourself. Sometimes you go through circumstances in life that make it difficult for you to obtain what you wanted to get initially. So, for example, like Simon, she went wanting to get as many medals as possible, but there is a moment where you need to stop and be kind to yourself and listen to your body, listen to your mental well-being. So for me, this is message number one, or philosophy number one to success, is you compare yourself with yourself in the past. Second one, that you can win through enabling the success of others. You can, today I feel that I'm capable of winning medals through supporting our young female and male athletes. So this is the multiplier effect. When you can when you can support others into their success, and you accept being in the backstage and cheering for them. So to me, this is a success. Being part of their success is a success. Contributing to their success is a success.
Amazing. All right, I had a blast in this conversation, but we have to take the audience's questions because we're a bit out of time. So we have a question here that someone is saying, you have mentioned that studying in the States was an opportunity for you to try new things. I was wondering if you have tried other sports as well while you were there.
So again,
it's a good question.
it's a really good question.
Yeah.
I smiled because I remembered that in a parking lot, my Lebanese friend used to teach me how to ride a bicycle. So I really enjoyed learning how to ride a bicycle. I didn't go through with being a cyclist, but it's a sport that I enjoyed. Yeah. That I enjoyed. I tried what else? I tried skiing, but it wasn't a successful
it's alright. It's just
it was
like
fun.
the experience. Yeah.
But I fell down more than I
no problem. All right. So we have another answer here, another question here. Actually, it's more of a message. Someone is saying, Ms. Lubna, you are inspirational. Thank you for your courage and vulnerability in sharing your story.
Thank you.
And many others are are all encouraging you to seeing one. So I have a question for you. How did you overcome the gender inequality in our society through in your sports career, let's say as an athlete? I believe you told the story about when you called someone and they told you like you're a female, you can't participate in this club. I believe there's something like that. So how did you overcome that exact obstacle in your career?
So this was when I first came from the States, and I reached out to the fencing federation. Well, it wasn't easy, and I didn't understand it back then. They were just trying to do their job with the limitation we had back then. But I didn't stop there. I went into creating opportunities. So when a door closes, some other doors might open. And you have to keep an open eye for such opportunities. You have to be eager to make change and be part of change instead of waiting for change to happen. So you come obstacles like this by trying to move them away and lift them from others. There are obstacles. We are still facing many obstacles today, and athletes all around the world, not even in Saudi, are facing many obstacles. But many people in the sports sector, their responsibility is to try to make the experiences of our athletes much easier and simpler for them to focus only on their training and their progression.
Mm-hmm. A new question just came. Someone is asking, in the West, like in the Western people, they always talk about the suppressed, in quotation marks, women. So he's asking, or she's asking, did you ever feel suppressed? That's a trick question.
I wouldn't say that I've felt suppressed. I was, and I'm still blessed with a great family. I remember, Shahad, before when we discussed, you told me, when we were talking about my story, and you told me that I'm a great storyteller, and I thank you for that. And I didn't tell you that I got this from my father. My father was very caring, was very great storyteller, that through any, I would say, difficult times growing up with any limited opportunities that I grew up with, he would talk me through it. He would encourage me not to be, not to give up and be always optimistic. And one of the things, he, one of the funny things he told me while studying in the university, and I was ready to drop out. He told me, even if the course is teaching you how to dislike Lubna Al Omair, or there is a or there is something against you in any textbook that you're reading or learning, or anything that you disagree with, if it's gonna get you toward your if you hate, for example, I know, Shahad, if you hate math, or if you hate chemistry, and this is what this is the short-term dissatisfaction, that you need to think about the long-term satisfaction. If you just pushed yourself and you learned that course, and you got good grades, and you graduated, it's I don't think that I was ever oppressed, because I was always been loved by my parents, by my mom. My mom
Thank
is
God for
a
that.
very caring mother, my brother as well, my sister. Now I'm blessed with a very supportive husband who was with me in the Olympics, cheering for me, being there with me all the way, encouraging me to pursue my career, sharing with me the responsibilities of parenting our kids. So, no, personally, I wasn't. And I think many females of Saudi are sharing the same
Yeah, I agree.
past. And I'm sure there were, like any other country, there were many oppressed females. And I really wish that we can help them, we can support them, and the oppression ends for all females. And now, men are talking about being oppressed, being
Yeah. The wheel is going like to the women direction, so they're feeling a bit I don't know. All right, so we have another question here. Ms. Lubna, thank you for your amazing inspirational conference. I would like to know, what do you advise for balance between professional life and family life? I guess we've covered. Would you like to answer that, or?
it just simply prioritize and reprioritize. It's day to day
It's all about priorities.
For example, now I'm having this seminar, but if I get a call telling me, God forbid, that one of my kids is sick or in need for that he's or she is in a hospital, I'm gonna tell you thank you and I apologize, but I'm leaving.
Sure.
So that's one thing. The same thing at work. For example, if we have a project that we need to deliver, and it would require me, for example, to spend extra hours at work, and I'm sure that my kids are, I have great support, my husband, and I have two great nannies. I have friends that can come over and take care of my kids sometime. So I would spend more time at work, knowing that the situation in the house is being taken care of. And there are days where I get to see my kids for just an hour a day, and there are days where I spend the whole day with them. And I try as much as I can to make the time with them quality time, and I teach them lessons every day, and I have fun with them, and I play with them. But at the same time, I make sure that at work I deliver on my products. I make sure that I'm supporting my team. So this is
yeah. All right, that's great. So another question. Do you think the support from the family is crucial factor to succeed and compete in a sport, especially females?
It's crucial for your success, but they might not be very supportive in the beginning. Again, if you remember when I started, there is a thin line between being disrespectful and being determined and trying to convince them that what you are doing matters the most. And I would say, trust me, I wouldn't give any statistics, but many parents, I would say, if they believe that this path will bring you joy and happiness and won't be harmful to you, I'm sure with time and after understanding what it means to you to pursue such thing, I'm sure they will support you fully.
I totally agree. You mentioned the exact headline in your talk, Saudi butterfly crushed in Olympic debut, which indicates that you still have this thing in mind. For how long you felt down, and how did you manage to overcome these feelings back then?
How long, I cannot tell for sure. I would be lying if I say that I've wished for one point at least. But again, I'm blessed with great blessings and great realization that came only after losing. So I don't know how my life would have turned out if I won or even won a medal. I bet it would be great, and I would be happy, and my parents, my family, and the whole nation would have all celebrated. But you make the most out of any circumstances that you are in. You have to reflect and see the beauty and see the positive side of every situation, difficult situation that you encounter in life. And I think this what differentiates or being positive than being negative. And I chose to be positive about it. It wasn't easy. Again, I think I said this word 100 times now. But the reason why I say it again and over again is sometimes there are things that easy to be said than done. And I don't want you to beat yourself up if you wake up the next day feeling bad about difficult circumstances that you lived through. But what I can assure you, that with your positive mindset, you can overcome anything, even losing 15-0, or even anything. You can apply it to anything in your life.
That's awesome. That's great. All right, I guess this is gonna be the last question we have. It's how did you handle pressure in such big tournaments, and what do you advise new young female athletes, of course, regarding that thing? It's a good question. I want to know myself how. I bet it was hard.
It's a difficult question because the pressure was high, but honestly, in my case, I tried not to think about it. I tried to think that I'm in a.
I think, as you said, it's about the mentality and the mindset, like as you said.
Yes,
earlier.
but
I guess
the thing is, at that moment, I felt it's like any other tournament. It's when you're in it,
I guess
don't
it
think
becomes
about
smaller.
don't think about what's going to happen next. So I didn't think that what I would do if I lost. But I don't know if what I've done was good or not, because I did not prepare myself mentally to accept losing, and probably that's part of why it took me time to accept and realize the positive side of it. It's worth mentioning here that Princess Rima was very supportive of all female athletes. And back then, before going to the Olympics, she provided us with sports psychologists who talked us through what would happen. So talking to someone about it, someone like a sports psychologist would be great before
Professional.
Yes, someone professional to talk to you about how do you train, not physically, mentally, to handle the pressure of competitions. Probably and honestly, yes, the physical training wasn't enough before the Olympics, but part of it was the pressure, I would say. Yes, I tried not to think about it, yet it was overwhelming. So seeking professional help and having and talking to other athletes, more senior athletes, on how do they prepare mentally for such competitions, as well as very important.
All right, so I guess it was a great conversation, and I think I have to conclude now. So firstly, I thank you, our guest.
Shahad?
Yeah.
I cannot hear you.
Yeah. Miss Lubna, can you hear me? Oh,
Yes.
yeah. We have it.
Hello?
I think she has some.
Yeah, I had a technical
network
problem. Sorry. Yeah,
Sorry.
internet problems. The pandemic topic. All right. So I better conclude now. I was gonna say. All right. So I was gonna say thank you, Ms. Lubna, for I know we took an extra 15 minutes, let's say approximately. So thank you for your time with us, and thank you our audience for listening to us. And we wish you good luck in your work with the Saudi Olympic Committee. Thank you all.
Thank you.